This video's goal is to guarantee that you walk away knowing how to solo flawless the new Warlord's Ruin dungeon to get this pretty new emblem and some pretty impressive bragging rights. To do that, I've constructed this guide to show you the most powerful loadouts, most effective strategies, and easiest to execute DPS methods. So here's the plan. First, we'll go over the core subclass loadouts that we'll be using for the entire dungeon, with optional artifact mods included. Then after that, we'll touch on each encounter individually with weapon and mod loadout recommendations for each specific encounter as we go. Then finally, I'll talk you through 1 to 2 phases of each encounter, outlining exactly how you want to play them, dangerous things to look out for, how to maximize damage and efficiency, and literally anything else you could possibly need to know to solo flawless this dungeon. So please consider subscribing if that all sounds good and well, and let's begin. The safest and most efficient Warlock setup for this dungeon is the easy to use perma-healing Sunbracer setup that I have on screen right now. Incendiary Snap for easy Sunbracer activation, Ember of Torches for easy Radiant acquisition, Phoenix Dive and Heat Rises for restoration ×2, and the Ember of Empyrean to keep all of those buffs up indefinitely. Alongside all of that, you'll run the Ember of Singeing for high class ability uptime, Ember of Ashes for extra scored stacks and more ignitions, and of course, Solar Grenades. For mods, you're simply looking for lots of heavy ammo production, orb generation, super energy gains, and weapon surge buffs. Probably worth noting that I have a Destiny item manager link in the description that will copy all of this over to your Guardian if you want as well. For the artifact, if you're high enough, you'll pick up everything on screen now, most notably Kindling Trigger, From Whence You Came, Flint Striker, Heart of the Flame, Wished into Being, Revitalizing Blast, Rays of Precision, and Solo Operative. Don't mess with Argent Ordnance, you'll see why in a bit. And if you aren't this far into the artifact or are doing this in a different season, it is completely okay. Just might take you an extra DPS phase per boss. Nothing crazy. Now, as far as specifics go for the first boss, your loadout will be a solar energy weapon of your choice, preferably with incandescent, and a hard-hitting kinetic fusion rifle like this season's new craftable one with the following perks on screen. Alternatively, going with something like Riptide or a good DPS sniper if you don't have it. For your heavy weapon, you'll want the brand new Dragon's Breath exotic rocket launcher, Catalyst not required. Dragon's Breath does some ridiculously high damage and greatly benefits from the bonus scorch stacks afforded to us from Ember of Ashes. However, since you are always stowing it after firing so you can shoot your fusion rifle while it reloads in the background, Argent Ordnance doesn't really do anything but eat your armor charge stacks, hence why you avoid it over on the artifact mods. As for armor mods, triple solar resistances feel really solid to mitigate the boss's high burst damage. Now that you're all set up, let's talk through how to perfectly play the first boss. Before we get started explaining the actual mechanics and the way that you want to play the boss, I first want to talk about the easiest way to get into the Sunbracer's loop and rotation, since I know it can be a little bit daunting for some and it might seem like a lot to manage. It's really not. If you have your grenade up before getting into it, you could eat your grenade initially to get your heat rises right off the bat, but even if you don't have it, it's fine. You'll simply just start off with your melee kill to get your Sunbracer's perk active, eat the first grenade to get your heat rises, and then immediately start getting enemies weak, hitting your dive while you have the heat rises, which will give you restoration, and then literally any solar ability or weapon final blow will extend that through the Ember of Empyrean, and boom, you have restoration ×2 for a very long time. Practically unkillable. Right here, as you'll notice, I'm just kind of sitting in front of the boss. Don't care at all because I know he's not going to kill me while I'm in the middle of restoration ×2. Easy as that. Sometimes you'll lucky and get both totems next to each other. If you do, that's awesome. But sometimes you'll just get one. That's okay as well. Don't read it either way. We're just going to stick him with a Dragon's Breath and then fire 4 fusion rifle shots. Once you get 4 fusion rifle shots off, your Dragon's Breath will be reloaded, even if you don't have the catalyst. So 4, since I had to reload, I'll probably do 2 right here. And that's reloaded again. 2, 3, and there's a DPS phase. Probably 2 more phases of that, and we're pretty much good to go. It's also worth noting that being in a Well of Radiance takes away your restoration. So if you exit a well after a DPS phase, you will not have restoration up, so you are going to have to get that loop and rotation back up again. If you do not have your melee ability available, you can just get kills while you're airborne, which will give you a ton of melee energy, so that you can go ahead and start that loop again. Just kill one enemy with the melee, eat a grenade, and then we're going to get some enemies weak, do the dive while we're in heat rises, because of course that is going to go ahead and give us our restoration, and then enemies will die to the grenade, die to our SMG, and all that jazz, so that we can go ahead and extend it to the Ember of Empyrean, like I said before. I was a little more focused on explaining mechanics, so I just barely got those totems off, thankfully, but I'm just going to keep damaging the boss, nuking him. If you don't have a Well of Radiance up, you can either just bypass this DPS phase entirely and wait until you do have the well up for your next DPS phase, or you can just be a little bit more mobile like I am right now. Also worth noting that if you're in a situation, you know, where you're a little more mobile but you're taking a lot of heat, you can use your Phoenix dive at literally any time. Even if you don't have heat rises active, it'll give you a nice chunk of HP, so you'll be good to go. So that's about it for this boss. Pretty simple. Run around, clear ads, keep the room clear, do what you can, keep that restoration buff up. And even if you're not keeping the restoration buff up, it's pretty simple. So run through that on a few phases against the boss. Right here, I'm getting a little weak. Do a quick dive. Easy as that. Just eat a grenade real quick. And then I want to go ahead and get my restoration back. So we're just going to kill enemies, scorch a bunch of dudes, hit a dive so we get the restoration, kill some enemies to get Ember of Empyrean to extend it, and we're good to go just like that. Really is that simple. And then we're just going to go to DPS phase, 3, 4, another rocket, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I know I'm not going to kill him here, so we'll roam around the map, pick up some heavy bricks, all that jazz, just kind of rinse and repeat. Nice and simple, not too bad of a first boss for a solo boss dungeon. Now, this intermission section is a bit long and pretty dangerous, so let me show you how to zoom through it with safety and ease. All right, now I do recommend that you watch this part because there is a lot of dangerous stuff on your way between the first and second boss, and there's a lot of way to mitigate a lot of that danger. So the first thing I recommend, if you're comfortable using an eager edge sword, can speed things up a lot, but the two things that I highly recommend in terms of safety are Icarus Dash instead of your Touch of Flame temporarily, just to give you a little bit more mobility in the jumping puzzles, and switching your DPS grenade over to a healing grenade in case you take a lot of heat from some of the enemies. Of course, in the jail cell, the number immediately to our left is going to be the number of wheels that need to be turning clockwise, aka you just need to shoot them to the third setting, nice and easy. So we're just going to go ahead and hit that one 3 times, hit that one 3 times, and we'll hit this one 3 times, which means the other number is going to be 3. They always add up to 6 together. After we hit number 4 right there, just going to go ahead and hop down here, we have number 5, and then we have number 6. Shoot the lever, and we are out of here. Now, as you're making your way through the maze, the main thing to watch out for is, of course, going to be the spikes. There should be 4 sets of spikes that you come across. If you come across the 5th, it means you've gone the wrong direction. So just watch very carefully the path that I take. If you want to, you could even put this at like half speed or quarter speed on YouTube, and just kind of let it play as you follow along a little bit slow, a little more slowly. That way you don't have to keep up with my pace. I'm gonna go a little quickly just so that the video is not too long. But just gonna hop over these raiders, hop up right here. Here's your first set of spikes right there, so you're gonna hop over them, and then continue down this lane until you run into your second set of spikes. So just crouch walk right underneath those bad boys, and then you'll have an opening in the right to take. Run through here. After you get through the exit hole to the left, have some spikes on your right there. So we'll just kind of kiss this wall as we're walking, and then your 4th set is right there. That is every single spike trap that you should run into. If you run into more spike traps than that, it means you've gone the wrong way. Turn around. So we'll just continue through this kind of underground dungeon layer. You can just take the exact path that I am taking. Slice our way on over here. Excuse me. And then we're going to go to the left, fall in this hole right here. Take another left, and that is pretty much it. You're through the maze. That is 50% of the danger done. The other 50% of the danger is the bridge section that we have coming up right here. Now, leading up to the bridge section, there's some collapsing rocks. I've talked in previous videos of kind of how to avoid those and what to look out for. Basically, if you look at a piece of a platform and it doesn't have any like rocks or grass on it or any textures, it's just blank white, that's usually an area that is going to fall. So I can showcase it again right here. This rock is another falling one. You can actually skip it entirely, but you can see it's got like nothing on it. So that's kind of how you can differentiate a rock that's going to fall between a rock that is going to just stay there and be stationary. Alternatively, you can just follow the exact path I'm taking. Here, if you want to be ultra safe, you can just go ahead and kill all of the enemies if you really don't want to risk anything. Or you can do what I'm doing, just kind of sprint on through. You have your Phoenix Dive for a quick little heal if you get in trouble, and of course, we swapped a healing grenade for this part as well. Right here is another falling rock that you need to be careful for. I like to just kind of hop up and Icarus dash right through so that I'm not even touching that rock at all, because recovering from those falling rocks on Warlock, I apologize, can be very difficult. But once you're through that section, you are pretty much right at the second boss. There's nothing dangerous in between that and the second boss that'll kill you. Right on here, and you're good to go. Once you arrive at the second boss of the dungeon, your loadout remains completely the same, with the only change being a swap off of your current triple solar resistance mods to instead take 2 arc and 1 void resistance mod to mitigate boss and scorn sniper damage. With that taken care of, allow me to show you how to easily 3-phase this boss in the safest fashion possible. Similar to the first boss, we're just going to kind of talk briefly about my favorite way to get the Sunbracers buffs and combo going up. Like I said, you only really have to do it once, and then you're pretty much good for the entire phase. I do want to show it one more time, though. I accidentally forgot to switch to my correct grenade right there, but it actually doesn't matter, because once we get the Sunbracer kill, of course, we go ahead and recharge all of our grenades. So we're just going to go ahead and toss a grenade. Eat our first grenade to get heat rises right away. That is what allows us to gain restoration whenever we do our dive. And then we're just going to hop out here, and we're practically immune to everything. I do recommend killing the Minotaurs, because the Minotaurs actually do a decent amount of damage, but once those 2 Minotaurs are dead, there's pretty much nothing that can kill you when you have restoration times 2. A couple other notes: can be really nice to kind of do a little hop when you build the Blighted Eyes to get airborne kills to increase the duration of your heat rises. The only thing you have to look out for is the fact that the Ogre has his push attack, and the last thing you want is to get pushed off the map. All that good stuff. So when this guy spawns, we're actually just going to leave him alone entirely until he puts down that totem. Don't even throw a single fusion grenade on him, or solar grenade, I mean, sorry, because with all of the scorch stacks that you'll be doing to the boss, one solar grenade is enough to kill him before he even puts the totems down. When it comes to the totems, if you see your biting cold stacks at X6, that is your time to get out of there. Once you see X6, you are gone. Be patient with these, even if it means you only end up getting 1 totem per phase. Getting absolutely destroyed by getting frozen and dying like that is the worst way to go out in this. It's brutal. Couple other tips here in this area. As you can see, there's pretty much nothing behind you, and as we just discussed, the boss's attacks do push you, so you want to make sure you're never jumping, because if you're jumping to get to that flag and the boss pushes you, you're kind of dead just like that. You notice I got kind of weak from those scorn snipers right there, but I was able to easily save myself with a quick little Phoenix Dive, even though I am not under the effects of heat rises, so I didn't get restoration. It still does give you a nice little chunk of healing, which feels really solid. So for now, we're going to go ahead and work on getting our restoration buff back up. We have heat rises, so I can simply do that. I have an enemy ready to kill, and we have our restoration buff. As you noticed, I like to kill the Scorn boss on the right side, which means this far right eyeball is the last one that I like to kill, to guarantee that I have as much time as possible to go ahead and move over, or to go ahead and take him out. If I kill this eye as the last one, then I'm kind of wasting a lot of time making my way over there, and he's probably already going to be, the storm, the blizzard is already going to be up by the time I get over there. Another thing as well is that after each phase of killing the big dudes, you're going to have 2 Scorn snipers on each side. If you really want to be as safe as humanly possible, I would recommend taking out these snipers before you bother going with the eyes. It's not 100% necessary, because with restoration times 2, you're pretty much good to go. The only way you die is if the boss slammed you and you got sniped by 2 guys at the same time. But if you really want to be particular, go ahead and take out those Scorn snipers right before you go ahead and start taking out those eyes to spawn these large Scorn bosses. The second he puts the totem down, go ahead and nuking him, fusion rifle, solar grenade, all that jazz. Put him down, watching my biting cold stacks. 5, 6. Like as it approaches 6, I'm out of here. Chill here, drop them all off. Not jumping at all so the boss doesn't push me off. And then I'm hanging right here, finishing it off. Once you're done, if you want to sit on this totem, if you sit to kind of like the right side, you still get shelter from the storm, but then you have this thing in front of you that prevents the boss from seeing you, so you're relatively safe. Well then, after we finish up here, want to make sure that we go ahead and kill, once again, the scorn snipers. You 100%, like this is not optional, please make sure you kill them in this situation right before you enter DPS phase. You do not want them shooting at you while you're running around the map going for DPS, so please make sure you kill them right there. Right now we're going to try and get our heat rises back so that we can get our restoration loot back. And I like to kill 5 out of the 6 eyes before I start dunking the balls, because it just makes the entire arena significantly safer. First things first, I gotta come over here and dispatch the scorn snipers that were over here on the left side. And then we're gonna start on the eyes. Boom, 2, and then we're gonna do a little hop while we kill them to both give us some melee energy so we can get our sunbracers going again if we would like to, and so that we can keep our heat rises going. Occasionally, if you get too close to the boss, he will stomp you, so be on the lookout for that. Gonna make sure to continuously kill enemies as we are picking up the balls and going to dunk them, so we can maintain our restoration ×2 buff. Remember, with Emperor of Empyrean, we get 4 seconds to all of our solar buffs, radiant and restoration, every time we kill an enemy with a solar ability or solar weapon. So we're just kind of weaving in solar ability weapon kills, solar ability kills and solar weapon kills in between our ball running routes. You can even drop the ball real quick, kill an acolyte to get a quick 4 seconds, and then continue making your path over there. Always recommend doing the back fires first, and then I like finishing up on this top front right one over here. Gonna kill a couple enemies real quick to get our restoration topped off. And these guys, and I hear that Taken Acolytes are spawning, so I'm gonna try and dispatch some of these Taken Acolytes before I actually dunk the ball. Now, since I picked up the ball, it is on a bit of a timer, so I don't have the luxury of taking forever. So we're just gonna try and kill a couple of them if we can, and then we'll mop up the rest in DPS phase. Similar to the first boss, same story as before. Dragon's Breath shot into 4 fusion rifles, and then Dragon's Breath, rinse and repeat. You are going to have some enemies that are going to push you during this. Simple solar grenade on the ground can make sure that they don't mess with you at all. Beautiful thing about this loadout for this boss DPS here is that it completely stun locks the boss. So you're pretty much in no danger of him ever getting anywhere near you. He will never come and get the totem on you. You're good to go. If you're in a situation where you get weak, you can of course just use a Phoenix Dive and you'll be good to go on there. And in between the plates, you can even go so far as to run around the arena, look for green bricks, look for purple bricks, so that you have a good bit of ammo in between each phase. Only thing to note, obviously, is make sure your biting gold stacks don't get to 10 while you're doing that, because then you're gonna die. And you pretty much always have that Phoenix Dive available during that DPS phase, because you're constantly scorching enemies, which is proccing the Ember of Singeing, which is going to give you copious amounts of class ability energy. So as you can see here, you're also going to get a lot of super energy too. It's going to end up giving you your well back by the time you hit the final plate. So I wouldn't say that's my best damage, because I spend a lot of time just kind of focusing on explaining what I was doing. But as you can see, like, even with my damage not being particularly good, it is still a very, very, very easy phase for this boss. Once you go ahead and wrap up there, you'll go ahead and hop up and down to get your melee ability back if you need to. Wait until some enemies get close to you that you can melee to get your Sun Bracers loop going. Go ahead and take out those guys, get our grenade. Boom, there's our restoration. Kill these guys, get it stacking, restoration ×2, and then again, our number 1 priority is killing these Servile Minotaurs, because they do hurt a lot. And then you're just rinsing and repeating the whole process. The only thing that changes between the initial phases and the later phases are that once the boss gets lower HP, he gets really angry and he gets a lot more aggro, and he'll start to rush you much more significantly and like pelt at you a lot more, do stomps and stuff like that. That is the only thing to watch out for. So be careful with your jumps as you get him a little bit lower, because he'll start rushing you and all that jazz. And the last thing you want is to get stomped off the map or something like that, or pushed off the map. But Other than that, it's just a rinse and repeat of what I just showed you. That's every single tip I've got for this encounter. Do a couple phases, 3 most likely, depending on what your power level is, and you'll be good to go. Now here is how I recommend you safely and quickly make your way to the final boss in a matter of minutes without being at risk of dying whatsoever. So just like we did for the intermission between the first and second boss, we have once again thrown on a healing grenade and Icarus dash for a little bit better movement, and for an emergency heal if we get a little weak. We've also gone ahead and thrown on the eager-eyed sword once again, and another thing that we've done that we didn't do previously is we have now thrown on a long-range weapon. I've gone with a sniper rifle. You can go with a scout rifle if you want. Literally anything, doesn't matter. It's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and show you the 3 areas from getting between this encounter to the final boss that are particularly dangerous, that can easily ruin your solo flawless run, just like it can be ruined in any encounter. So do show some respect towards these intermission sections. I know that typically, since they're not like an actual encounter, people treat them like they don't really have to pay as much attention, but your solo flawless run can just as easily be ended right here as it can be in other sections. So we're just going to go ahead and get through this initial area until we eventually run into some enemies right over here. Now I'm going to go ahead and just kind of dispatch them from far away. We're not going to rush at all. If we continue to use our incandescent solar weapon, we'll create some good ignitions, clear out everything relatively smoothly. Get through that section right there. We'll then take a left and go ahead and hop on over through here. Making sure we're careful of this falling rock right there, and also making sure we're careful of that screed. Sometimes he will jump across and then jump back. If he hits you, if you collide with him as he's jumping back, he will push you into that mountain, and boom, your run is over. Wait until he is handsomely over there and making his way up the mountain before you actually go ahead and start making your way over on across. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of all these wizards real quick. Just blow them all up with some incandescent shots from our SMG. And then this is where that long-range weapon comes in handy big time, because we're going to want to take out these enemies from a very far distance. Sometimes they'll kind of hide though. If they do hide, and you can get aggressive if you want to. So for example, you can jump over here. As long as you're hugging this right side wall, you should never get hit by any of the rocks. And if you want to be even safer, go ahead and plop down a well so that there's no way the wizard kills you, and you can knock it out like that. We'll then go ahead and weave our way into here, and we're going to have a couple of enemies that can potentially be over here that we're going to go ahead and snipe. Oh. Aim's not very good, but that's all right. Now, once we're here, this is probably the most dangerous part of the traversal area. We're going to come right here, and we're going to make our way up onto that rock. 2 things to note. That little rock right there that just flew under, that can hit you as you go up. And this is a falling rock, so once our feet touch it, we need to be quick. So we're going to sit here and we're going to wait until we see that stone circle back that comes underneath this rock. Only then do we know that we're safe to go. So we're going to chill here. Boom, right there. That's the one, so now I know I'm good to go. Also going to have another one that comes right there, so be careful of that as well. That's what we have the eager-eyed sword for. That's what we have our Icarus dash for, just in case we get into a hairy situation right there. If you want to avoid both of those, maybe wait like a half second to 1 second longer than I did to guarantee that you don't end up getting hit by either of those rocks. It'll make things a little bit safer. Before we continue up through here, we're going to go ahead and use our long-range weapon to kill all of these enemies. And then we're good to go. This section's pretty easy. All you gotta do is wait for this blaster to go off, and we're gonna go right there. Just hug the right side wall, and you're gonna be good to go. Once we're here, we'll hop up on this rock, hang out here, and then I like to get as high up as possible and float my way down using Icarus dash to squeeze in there a little bit more too. That's probably the most dangerous part. There are still 2 other areas that can be a little tricky, so highly recommend just making sure you watch those so you're down pat on them. Gonna go ahead and hop up here, and if you have that eager-eyed sword and you're fast enough, you can really just run past these guys. We completely ignore them so we don't fight them. If you're not confident in your ability to go that fast, then you can just kind of hang back and fight them, take them all out if you want to, but not too hard to get past them. I'm going to go ahead and traverse, taking the paths that I'm taking. I like to kill some of these guys. Pull out the sniper. That's what that long range weapon is for right there. And we're just going to continue on this way. Once you get here, hop up on this rock, hop up one more, and then boom, here's our Eager Edge Sword, Icarus Dash. Very careful of this rock, because this is a falling rock. Just so you know. We're going to have a phalanx right around the corner here. If you play it real nice and slow, you can sneak peek him before he even can react to you. If you don't and he does react to you and he bops you off, remember, you have your Icarus Dash to get back. Don't panic, stay calm, play it nice and slow and smooth. You'll be good. Gonna go ahead and hop up here. We're gonna have another phalanx that we're just gonna try and drop real quick. And then we're right here in this section. Now, I like to try and get my heat rises real quick, get my double restoration going. And then just do my best to start taking out all these enemies. I love hanging out on this left side. Take our time, go ahead and kill everything. As long as you kill them with your solar weapon, you'll extend your restoration. Kill that vengeful blade right there. Kill all these phalanxes, make sure you don't get pooped into a bunch of stuff. Taking it nice and easy. Once you kill a few of them and you have your Well of Radiance, you can get a little more aggressive if you would like to. You can start kind of moving your way back here. And if you really want to get super aggro and you want to really push the envelope and get through this quickly, you can jump over these phalanxes and put your Well of Radiance in the back. That is definitely a little more risky. So if you're not used to solo flawless and you want to take things a little slow, maybe don't do that. But if you really wanted to, you can just kind of make a dash past here, pop the well down, and then you're pretty much invincible right here, so long as these phalanxes, of course, do not whack you out of your well. Put a couple sword swings into that guy, and that should be everything. We're up the stairs. Sometimes I notice that Thrall and the Scorn Ravagers spawn on here, but other times they don't. I don't know what causes them to spawn or what prevents their spawn, but if they do spawn, just make sure you take your time running up, kill them, play it safe, don't rush things. Just work your way through slowly and casually. Don't try and jump all over them. It's an easy way to mess up and die, because if one freezes you, you get whacked by everything, runs over. You definitely don't want that. So once you go ahead and make your way up that tower, boom, you're here. Ready to do the final boss. Now it's final boss time. The reason you probably clicked on this guide in the first place, which, by the way, if it's been helpful so far, I'd appreciate it a lot if you'd consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video. For this boss, we're mixing things up slightly by dedicating our exotic weapon slot to the Sunshot Hand Cannon for its ability to keep this arena clear of all enemies with ease. Our heavy weapon will then be replaced by an auto-loading or reconstruction rocket launcher like the crafted Apex Predator. As for the kinetic slot, you can either keep your perfectly crafted scatter signal or go for something like a crafted rewind rounds and kinetic tremors supremacy sniper rifle instead. Completely up to you. As for mods, you'll simply swap one of your current arc resistances for a void resistance instead, totaling 1 arc and 2 void resist mods. With everything set up, let me show you how to obliterate this boss in just 2 phases so you can get your brand new solo flawless emblem. The way we'll start the final boss is the same that we have started literally every other encounter, by getting our restoration loop going. Go ahead and eat a grenade, heat rises, hit the dive to get restoration, and then it's super easy to maintain in this encounter, because all you have to do is put 1 sunshot bullet into some scions and it'll explode the entire back. Easy enough, super easy to survive. Pretty much nothing in here can kill you when you have restoration times 2, except for if you take a lot of sustained wizard fire, so you do still have to respect the wizards. Other than that, pretty easy to survive in here. Add clear super simple with Sunshot. It's even so good that it'll take out all 3 of the eyes on the same side if you kill one of them. Super easy to get the eyes as well. So once we get all the eyes, I like playing this right side. We're gonna just kind of hang out here a little bit. I'm only gonna throw 1 grenade because I don't want to kill him. I want to make sure he gets a totem out before he ends up dying. Once he puts his totem down, that is my sign to go ahead and run out the person down and sit between two totems. I also have my Hex Drinker. I'm just going to hang out here, let my Restoration do its thing. If I run out of it, I can go ahead and do another dive to get it back. And of course, remember, you can use your ranged melee attack to hit him, and it will transfer as well. We also have Heat Rises. You can pretty much permanently stay in the air after you transfer to him, and he has no way of getting to you. Once we get to DPS, one fusion shot, boom, to proc bait and switch, and then I do double rocket, pull the fusion rifle back out, 3 fusion rifle shots, 1 rocket, 3 fusion rifle shots, and if you're fast enough, you can get a second rocket in, but it's kind of tough. So typically, you're only going to be able to get 3 total rockets in. Like I said previously, when you step into a Well of Radiance, you lose a Restoration buff. So we're just going to kind of pop and kill these guys so we get melee energy refunded to us since we're airborne. We'll then snap to melee that guy, eat our grenade to get our Heat Rises back, and then we can make our way onto platform number 2. Throw a grenade, and then we'll dive so we get our Restoration going, and then we're going to play very respectful of these wizards. Like I said, they are pretty much the only thing that can kill you while you're in your Restoration buff, so we're not going to mess with them, even though we're pretty much invincible to everything else. Playing safe around them. Once we get all the wizards dead, then we can play up to be significantly more aggressive. You'll notice that my Well of Radiance is pretty much already back, so we can play these phases relatively quickly. Kill 2 of the eyes, that'll kill all 6 because of the burst damage, the casual chaining effects of Sunshot. We're gonna wait until these guys put their totems down before we kill them. And you can even kill them with a rocket as well if you want to be super quick about it, because you get a ton of heavy ammunition thanks to the fact that you're killing pretty much everything with a exotic primary. So we're going to go ahead and whack that guy. Now we're going to get away from him, pop over him nice and easy, not much of a threat. And then once he dies, we'll come pretty much right onto the boss, pop the well down. We can do it early because it's not, the whole DPS phase is like 15 seconds anyway. It's not that big of a deal. Boom, rocket, 3 fusion rifle shots, then we get 1 more rocket in. Then we'll do 3 more fusion rifle shots. And that's that. And then we just rinse and repeat. Do a little hop while we kill these guys so we get our melee ability back. So we can get our Sun Bracers lift going again. There's our melee. This for Heat Rises. Grenade, dive, get the Restoration going. Always make sure you clean up after yourself before you go up to the next floor. Last thing you want is to leave a bunch of enemies sitting behind you that are shooting at your back. And then once we're up here, more of the same story. We're just going to go ahead and be very respectful of the wizards. I actually ended up losing my Restoration buff there, unfortunately. Took a little bit too much time, but that's perfectly okay. Since we are constantly scorching everything, we're pretty much always going to have our class ability up, thanks to the Ember of Singeing. So not only do you always have a way to get your Restoration, but you can always use that dive just to get a quick burst of healing, even if you don't have Heat Rises active. So we've got all the wizards dead. Good to go on that front. We're then going to push up and make our way up. I'm going to wait until we get 1 more set of Scion spawns, just to get a little bit more super energy, and to make sure that my Restoration is topped off. And once we kill them, go ahead and take that out. And boom, just like that. Got all these dudes dead. Another thing you can do too is if you want to go ahead and do a quick little snap on the Scions, you can do that to get a bunch of you can do a snap to get a bunch of grenades off on the other big boss enemy over there. Not necessary, but definitely makes the arena a little bit safer. I accidentally killed the other dude too quickly, so I'm gonna come over here and get this totem as well. And then typically I would do DPS up here, but since I'm running a bit short on time, since I had to run over and get that other totem, I'm gonna go ahead and do it from here. But, you know, it's pretty much the same as the previous DPS phases. 2, 3. I just have some more Scions kind of whacking me. Not much of a difference. And then, ideally, if you can, you would love to have your Restoration buff up before you get up and start doing the 3-plate section. And you can take as much time as you like on here. You do not have to rush up. You can even go so far as to sit here and wait until your Well of Radiance is back up. You can do that for literally every single plate. I'm not going to do that just for the sake of time. I don't want to make this video too long, but you could if you wanted to. So we're just going to do our rockets here. And you can actually get a longer DPS phase if you kill some of the eyes, which is pretty easy considering that your Sunshot will blow them up and kill every single eye on that particular side. So you can get a nice extra chunk of damage just by sitting here. However, under no circumstance do you want to sit there and greed damage for too long, because then you're going to get in a situation where you get killed. On the Warlock, it is probably the safest class to do this on. However, it is definitely one that struggles a bit more in DPS compared to the Hunter, because the loadout that you use is a bit more reliant on constantly having heavy ammo, which, by the way, you can, as you can see, like I'm doing right here, you can take all the time in the world to like jump down to previous platforms and scavenge ammo. Like, the boss is just going to sit there forever and ever and ever. So you have free reign of the entire arena. You can take your sweet time, no rush at all. Pretty easy. So if you're someone who is in a spot where you're like, hey, I don't really care how long it takes me, I just want the safest strategy possible, Warlock is definitely the option for you. It's going to take you a few more DPS phases compared to the Lucky Pants Hunter guide that I put out, but it is absolutely safe. If you want to go a little more aggressive when it comes to damage, you could, if you'd like, kind of get up here and try and get an incinerator snap off to proc your sunbracers and throw a bunch of grenades at the boss. Definitely make sure that you're killing the eyes in between throwing your grenades. Unlike I did, that's why my DPS phase ended so early, is because I wasn't taking out the eyes. But that's another option you have too if you want to try and squeak out a little bit of extra damage in your DPS phases. Fortunately, I don't have Well of Radiance up. If you were in my shoes right now and weren't recording the video, I actually highly recommend that you just go ahead and wait for your Well of Radiance to come back up. But I don't really have time for that because I just want to go ahead and get this done quickly. So we're just going to go ahead, sit here, fire away at him. Like I said, DPS is not that great on Warlock, especially if you're moving into the phase with very little ammo, as I was. If you get in a pinch right there, hit your Phoenix Dive. Quick little regen on health, you're pretty safe. Rinse and repeat until you get to final phase. I'll show you what to do for final phase. Alright, so as you head into final stand, you do not need your super or anything. You don't even really need any certain amount of ammo. There's two ways to play it. I call them the safe way and the mind-blowingly impossible to die unless you're really bad at jumping the safe way. The safe way is just kind of sitting behind this pillar, waiting until your abilities are up, weaving in and out, throwing some grenades, casually sneaking in and out behind this pillar, using your Sunshot to completely wipe out the right side of eyes, because remember, all you have to do is kill one, and then the entire wave is gone. I'd recommend against using your rocket here, because if it's your first time doing solo flawless, then you're probably going to be kind of nervous, and the last thing you want is to accidentally shoot the rocket too early and blow yourself up right next to this pillar. So this is the safe way. The mind-blowingly impossible to die safe way is that you can actually get off of this platform. You can just turn around, because this is just where you come up to get to the boss. You can literally just leave the platform and run back down to the arena. Now, the one problem is that you do not have the DPS buff to kill the boss, so he's actually immune if you're right here. But if you make your way back up to the 3-plate section, where you do the bulk of your damage for this encounter. So if I hop up here, you'll notice that when my feet touch this platform, I do get Naeem's Wish Empowerment. And you get it infinitely while you're up here. So you can just throw on like a bow, a scout rifle, whatever you want, and you can just DPS from here. Obviously, it is impossible for the boss or anything there to touch you. It's going to take a second, but as long as you don't mess up your jumps making your way over here, it is obviously very impossible to die, because it can't really hit you at all. You can even go ahead and equip a sniper, make things a little easier for you, maybe a little 360 to finish it off, and ta-da! Congratulations, you have just solo flawless the brand new Warlord's Ruin Dungeon. And that's all the information I've got to show you for solo flawlessing Warlord's Ruin on a Warlock. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask in the comments down below. I'll see you in the live stream. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.